Yeah, we just ended the last episode and we're on the new one. You got your host, Keith Bilous, sitting here live and live with Manuel, two dads in a lab trying to be 2% better. And we got our good friend AJ Eglin here. We're talking parenting autism. This is the magic of live streaming, you guys. I'm telling you, you podcaster, Mr. Manuel. You guys do recording, you sit and you make it all perfect. I do live shit, man. I got to make it up on the air. So you guys just don't know, man. You guys just don't know. And I'm doing all the production in front of everybody too, like flipping cameras everywhere.
Actually, yeah.
Anyways, we're back for the next episode with, if you missed the last one with AJ Eglin, myself, and AJ dug into life of parenting an autistic child with his beautiful, wonderful daughter, Leighton, nonverbal communicator. I invite you to go back and listen to that episode. We're into this one. We're talking further with AJ around life parenting autism. And one of the questions I have, AJ, for you is resources, and not necessarily the question that asked you in the last show around web resources, but
right.
I know how important your family has been to, having somebody in your pocket constantly to help you with life. Can you talk about that importance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with every child, there's that old saying, like, it takes a village, right? And I think in our case with having Leighton and a child with autism, that's even just maybe just magnified or whatever to a greater degree, because you take for granted some things, like when with our first child, with our oldest, and just some things that you're able to do, right? Places that you're able to go, stuff that you're able to attend. When he became a certain age, we're like, hey, we're going to go and do this. And yeah, we'll just call a babysitter or whatever, but your babysitter just can't be anybody. It has to be a special fit with Leighton. And so in our case, that's come from my parents the majority of the time. And like we couldn't be any more fortunate than for the help that we get from them. It is amazing. I would like to think that if everyone that had a child with a disability got the type of support that we got from their family, that not to make it too dramatic, but the world would essentially be a better place, right? Like, the amount of help that we get is above and beyond what you would ever be able to ask even a family member to step up and do, right? And in turn, it's such a special relationship. I think Leighton's best friend is my mom. I think, like, her grandma, I think they're best friends. And it's pretty special to watch. And it's pretty awesome that they have that, because obviously with the way that the deficits in her communication skills verbally and stuff like that just causes it a little harder to make some meaningful relationships with stuff like at school or at different things like that. She doesn't really have a lot of quote unquote friends, right? Mm-hmm. So it's our family members. And so for her to have such a meaningful connection from someone outside of her immediate family, like myself or her mom or her brother, but to have it, even if it's with a grandfather and a grandmother, it's pretty incredible. I'm pretty happy that she has that. Yeah.
Well, I think I wish everybody had that relationship with their grandparents, period. And
totally.
What a special relationship. And just also because of that generation knowledge being passed down, but also that just tender love and care, and only a grandparent can give, right? The doting. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because you did mention school a second ago.
Yep.
And I know with a couple of my friends that I mentioned in the last episode with autistic children, they've really had to advocate for their own children, especially when we're talking about public school systems. And they've actually, they one of which, actually, the other one may have done it now too, because the one is going into high school and they end up doing private school. Because of the lack of support. And to be fair, resources. I know teachers are spread pretty thin, at least here in the Vancouver School Board. I know it's really challenging, and I know that's a pressure being felt all over. So I'm not blaming the school system, but I recognize that maybe what do you do to advocate for your own child in the education system? And is this something that you talk to other parents about that are in similar situations?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate to be able to do a mix. So there's some therapies as far as like speech therapy, music therapy, ABA therapy that we've sought out privately. They have some resources. We're here in Manitoba, so they have some resources here through the school system. Unfortunately, like you said, it's spread so thin that the frequency that they're able to access them at is just not enough to make any progress moving forward. So if you have a speech pathologist, if you have these different people, occupational therapists, and she has them in her school division, and these, don't get me wrong, like these people are great. We meet with
Yeah.
them at our regular meetings, just like you would at a parent teacher. We have a same type of meeting for Leighton, but it's for her IEP, her individual education plan. So it looks a little different. And it's this group of people that meet, and everyone in there has such big hearts and they're such awesome people and they're working their hardest. They'll give you like one of those people for a whole school division. Never mind the school, but it's a school division. So this person's just spreading their time around. I don't know if there's 15 or 20 or 30 schools in your division and all the different classes and all the different kids that might be working from a deficit. So they're doing their best, but the contact time, the frequency that they're able to see the child, and then the amount of time that they're able to see the child when they do see them is just not enough. We felt really to make progress in some areas. So we sought that out privately, and we were very fortunate to be able to do that. But we kept her in the public school system because we always wanted her to be exposed to those social situations, because I think both you probably can agree and have your own stories in this. That's like about 90% of life, right? Is how you are able to exist in social situations. And so her private stuff's really good. It's very work intensive for her, but it's all one-on-one, right? And if she was in that all the time, then we're like, hey, she's going to have to go out into the world and function and be okay with being around people and different situations and scenarios where she might not be able to control certain factors in those things, and how she can be able to regulate and do all these things in those situations. And so we felt that keeping her in the public school system was just great for that. And the people that she sees, like I said, are great. And we feel that she's well taken care of and she's safe there. And she loves to go, like when it's a school day, she's like tugging at your shirt, like wanting to go and get her boots and jacket on and go to school, because she just loves to be there. So I think there's a lot of value in that too. So I think you just have to set or temper your like expectations on what you're going to get to satisfy each component of your child's development. And we knew in the public school system here, like you said, it is stretched very thin. So we knew there was just some things that unfortunately we just weren't going to be able to access. And it's not because they're not good people, and it's not because they're not trying hard. It's just that, like I said, logistically, it just doesn't work. They can't cover that much ground. So we were like, okay, but she's there socially, and the teachers that she worked with have been great, and they love her, and she loves going to see them. And the kids there have been really kind to her. And there's lots of stories of how they've reached out to try to interact with her in meaningful ways. And so it's, and obviously she likes going. If she has no problem letting you know if she doesn't like something, she's very clear on that. Even though she doesn't speak, she'll let you know in a second if she doesn't like something. Nice. And she loves to go. So we just saw a lot of value in that, and keeping her in that public school system. Yeah. Just to be in those social environments, right? And then we knew that to satisfy other aspects of her development, that we might have to seek stuff out privately, which we were able to do. There's some resources here in the city that we're in that we were able to enroll her in some therapies and programs and stuff. And we felt certain aspects really, really blossom and developed under the guidance specifically of the ABA therapy that she goes to, and has been really a detrimental part of her development. But yeah, like you said, we had to find that privately to do that.
I think it's great. It's awesome, man. Keith, I think you were prepared to ask a question, but I got to ask one thing.
Oh, you go, yeah.
Because I know you guys have a close relationship, so you probably already know this answer as well, just based on the relationship. But AJ, when you think back to just these last 11 years, what's your fondest memory or your happiest moment or most exciting moment that you've had with her? I'm curious, what comes to mind for you when I ask you that?
Yeah, there's a lot, just because there's some sort of things, again, that you take for granted with your other child because they hit some of those milestones so easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That with her, all of a sudden it happens, and it's this like monumentous big deal where we're like celebrating it, when with her older brother, it was just almost expected. Oh yeah, one day he's just going to be able to hold his own spoon and eat himself. And for her, she struggled with some fine motor skill activities and stuff. So also when she's doing that on her own, it's, oh my God, this is crazy. Did you see that? Like, she did this on her own. That's amazing. Yeah. And just in ways that she's communicated. Some for myself, she's pretty stingy with the kisses from me. Her mom gets unlimited kisses all the time. But oftentimes for myself, when I ask for one, she just leans in like this and gives me her forehead. There's a handful of times where I've gotten a nice kiss, and those have really stood out to me because I know how special they are and how she just doesn't hand them out. So a few of those really stand out to me. And yeah, there's just a overwhelming sense of joy that comes from her every day. From the second she opens her mind in the morning, she is the happiest. She wakes up with a smile on her face, and she's just so resilient in so many ways. That really sticks out to me too. Like for a kid on the spectrum who has a hard time problem solving, which is one of the biggest parts of autism, is we all wake up and we solve a million problems throughout our day. And 99.99% of them we don't even think about. It's not a big deal to us. We're used to them and we're able to function. But for her, a lot of these things are very overwhelming. I don't even know if we wake up and we're go to do something and we're like, oh yeah, there's no toothpaste here, or I got a whatever. Oh yeah, okay, I'll just go grab another one. That problem's easy for us to solve, right? For kids on the spectrum, some of those things can really throw them out. It gets them out of the routine. It gets them out of whatever. It's very different. But so even though she struggles with that stuff, like how happy she is all the time is just amazing. And so when you ask me, it's not maybe a specific memory, but just the general idea of like her demeanor and her like attitude to just roll with it and how happy she is. She's always smiling and laughing and giggling. She's always so excited to see you and so excited to be around the people that she loves. She really does, like, it's hard to imagine it any other way. She just brings so much to our lives that's all of us that are close to her. Just, yeah.
AJ, so you have your two children, Leighton and Boston.
Yeah.
Are there times that you and Melissa need to create that awareness as a family that because there's so much emphasis and awareness around Leighton's situation,
Yeah,
that Boston may feel left out or feel like he's I don't know, like a fourth wheel and Boston, if you're listening, man, I love you, man. And you know what I'm trying to say.
exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And how do you, and I can see Di smiling because I'm sure this is a challenge for us as parents with children to have two regular functioning children.
Yeah.
Never mind one that you're needing to spend extra care on.
Yeah, dude.
How do you manage that, man?
We're so like, I don't even think that it's maybe something that we've done. I like to think that we try to be a good example to Boston and teach him and stuff.
Yeah. And I'll follow you on this. And I know how much Bossy loves Leighton. You must take such great joy knowing that as you and Mel age, that Leighton is going to be in good hands with her brother.
Yeah. So we're thanks for saving me there, by the way. We're so fortunate. Like he is just so good to her.
Yeah.
And he just loves her so much. And I don't know, maybe there's something just special about siblings that have siblings that with disabilities that they have this maturity in the way that they can care for them and feel for them. I'm not even sure. Obviously I can't speak for everyone's situation, but man, he's just rolled with it. There's things that we don't go to the movies. Leighton can't go to the movie theater. We hardly would go out to eat at a restaurant. We don't go to a lot of things as a whole family unit together. We've tried to do stuff with Boston separately on his own, but now again, the family's broken up, right? It's, hey, one person's taking him here, the other person's got Leighton here or whatever. And there's places that we've gone where we've been like, hey, it'd be fun to get here. And we've been there for 5 minutes. We got to leave. He's never complained for 1 second of his life.
It's awesome.
He's just went with it. And he's the
boss.
Yeah.
I like it.
And I wanted to pull, sorry to interrupt you, AJ, but I wanted to pull because I've witnessed it with my own eyes and it's special because I can't imagine how difficult it is internally in your family unit. Yeah. It's normal for your family unit, AJ, to manage and to balance and to, okay, we're going to go to Keith's place, but we might not stay very long because, totally. But I've witnessed it, and I've witnessed how Boston is just so exceptionally loving and warm around. It's just normal for him.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's, oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, because what I'm really curious of, and I think this is relevant to what the theme that we're discussing right now. Listen, I know just based on some of my friends that have autistic children, it's challenging because they have to adapt how they do pretty much everything to make sure that child constantly feels included. There's that sort of diversity, equity, inclusion, and conversation that's very prominent in the gender space. And I see it now influencing a lot more in other areas, autism being one of those.
Yeah.
But I also know that when we're talking about emotional as well as mental health, those are extremely pervasive life categories, if we will, because they affect everything that make us who we are.
Yeah.
And I know that's been a challenge for some of the people that I know with autistic children, based on not every day goes to plan, let's just say,
Right.
and it can throw things off. And so how do you and your partner Mel, like, how do you guys create the space or honor my mental health? And I'm just, because I'm sure other parents out there, especially the dads of other children that have different types of abilities and levels of functioning, I'm sure this is a common challenge. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because I also know you're someone that's in the fitness space as well. And so I think you can add a lot of value to that. So please just talk to that for us, man.
Yeah. So I'm pretty fortunate because I was in the fitness industry, obviously, before she was born. Melissa, from the day I met her, we actually met through the gym. So we had the very high emphasis on the power of physical activity, the power of exercise, and how it mentally, emotionally, the physical stuff seems what people most likely relate it to, or most often related to, but the physical and emotional side and benefits of it are maybe the most powerful things that comes from it. And so I felt like we were very fortunate to have access to that already, and already have placed a high emphasis on that, and recognize an awareness of just how important it was for us. That just never stopped, right? It was just a continuation. We already had that resource for us. And then when she was born, and you go through certain things in this discovery period, and you're like, okay, we have a child now on the spectrum, and we're fortunate. It's not like we're like, hey, we have to find some new resources for us to help us manage the maybe potential anxiety of it, or the stress of it, or it's like, oh no, we already have some great resources here that we already use. Sometimes we just maybe have to lean into them a little more, or just remind each other, hey, I'll stay home. I'm home from work now, whatever, go to the gym. You know what I mean? Do stuff like that. Everyone's going to probably have their own stuff. I know that they definitely bring some stress onto a relationship. I felt like in our relationship, I was, again, extremely lucky to have my wife as my wife. She's the most incredible woman. And I actually feel like it made our relationship stronger, if I'm being honest. It was now not something that was like coming between us and the stress of it coming between us, but it was something us as a team are getting stronger together to navigate this as a team. And I felt like it was, you have another common goal or another common challenge that you're working through together, right? Or you're working with together. And based on my background, like the first thing I ever suggest to anyone is more physical activity and exercise. I just feel that there's no single thing I could ever recommend to anyone. And I do, when I'm not working in this industry, in the gym industry, and working with athletes and people and training them in the gym, I am a therapist as well, actually. So I work in the mental health industry as well. And there's no one single thing as a professional in either industry that I could suggest more strongly than exercise. So yeah, it's been really powerful for us. So I always suggest for other people. And yeah, I think if they are able to do it, like anyone's going to get that benefit from it. Yeah.
I always say we're only ever one workout away from feeling better than we currently feel. Like I've never had I've had some pretty hard workouts, and afterwards I'm like, okay, I need 10, 15 minutes to recover. But after that, I always feel better than I did previously, especially mentally. Like just,
absolutely. Yeah.
I know I have a tight tie between my mental health and my physical health. It's just because, and it sounds like you and your wife have a similar thing, because you have that practice already, that ritual, that
totally. Yeah.
I don't even call it a habit. It's a lifestyle. And I think that's what everybody aspires for, but it's just about just being diligent enough to stick with it. And just to talk about some future setting pieces, because I know we're getting close to the end here. And I think we've covered the past, we've covered the present really well, but can we shift gears and talk about the future? Because I'm really curious, because I know that, as I mentioned, my friends that were my wife is one of her best friends. It's her eldest son, actually. And I know that she's in that process right now, as he's just turned 16. So getting a driver's license. And I know that was actually, he did really well with that. Like, just amazing. Picked it up and nailed it. And,
Awesome.
but there's that conversation about independence.
Yeah.
And what does adult life look like? And I know it's going to be very different for different situations and different children based on their where they are on the spectrum. But can you talk a bit about that? You know, what are some of the hopes and aspirations that you have for Leighton? And then also, what is sort of the process to prepare a child for adulthood? What does that look like? If you don't mind me asking that. You know?
No, I don't mind at all. So the future, without a doubt, is definitely the hardest part for a number of reasons. Obviously, for us, the biggest reason is that we recognize that one day that we won't be here, and for that's pretty tough to let your mind go there, especially just because of each kid on the spectrum is going to grow into their own individual adult, and obviously they're going to have their own set of capabilities that they can carry out. So all their future is going to look different. In our case, we're never 100% sure. We never want to make any assumptions, but we're pretty sure that our daughter's probably going to live with us for our lives, so the majority of her life. And so the toughest part about the future is that one day when we're not going to be there, and I just hope she understands that when we're not there, that we're not gone by choice, and that she's able to comprehend exactly what has happened, and she's not waiting for me to come home every day for the next however many years wondering why I left. So that one's heartbreaking. I've spent a lot of time.
It's heavy. Oh my gosh. I'm choking it back right now, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh.
Obviously I work, like I said, in that field, and I know I know what therapist self would tell myself and be like, you got to get out of the future. That's where the anxiety is. You got to bring yourself to the present moment and enjoy the time. And those are all the things that I try to do, but it's hard not to let your mind go there sometimes. Obviously, we've talked about her brother and what an amazing young man he's turning into. So that does give you some peace of mind that he's gonna be there, which is really the most important part. Like we've done the things where you set up like, hey, we don't know what our future is gonna look like. We got to invest this much money a month into this, and we've had great friends that have helped us set up through the gym here. I've got to meet amazing people that have worked in the field of investments and finance and stuff that have been able to direct us in a very useful direction where, so you get that set up and then you're like, okay, I know one day we won't be here financially. She's going to be fine. She'll be great. She'll never, if she's not able to work and hold a job, that's okay. She'll never need $1. Like she'll be financially taken care of. And you're focused on that for a short amount of time. And then once you've taken the proper steps to set that up, then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, she's financially fine, but I still don't really feel good about it because you want to make sure that she's emotionally fine. And make sure
exactly what I was thinking.
Cared for. The financial thing all of a sudden becomes it seems really important at the start. And then when it's done, it becomes comparison to her having a meaningful relationship and that companionship and that whatever. All of a sudden you're just like, yeah, because life's really lonely without it. Right. So, I've always said like from the time that we, have had her, and we've realized that she's going to have challenges. I've always been like, she's going to have a million challenges in her life, but I hope that being loved won't be one.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, you know what? With you and Mel there and just the love and support that your whole family give, like in Boston especially, like, dude, AJ, thank you for just being so transparent. Like, honestly, man, this has been like, I feel just much more aware just from what we've talked about, but I also feel empowered to go and do more research from a much different place. I just got to say thank you, man. Like this has been just an eye opener for me, but also just really cool. And when I'm in Winnipeg, whenever that might be next, I'm coming to hang out because I want to come hang out with her. I just, she sounds like an amazing human being, and it doesn't surprise me. Look at her parents, look at her brother. Yeah. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's awesome. AJ, listen, man, I'm very grateful on behalf of Di and myself for you to join us today, for you to share your experiences with your family today with us. I got to be honest, and because I've known you and because I know you, you made me feel comfortable having this conversation today.
Totally,
because I didn't know how to have it. I'm not going to lie to you. I was stressed out this morning in the gym.
Really?
I was, because I'm like, I wanted to have a conversation that was respectful of Leighton. and was respectful of the situation, and knowing that to you and Melissa, your life is normal to you guys.
Totally. Yeah.
We're like, so what is that like? And without trying to not make fun of it or not try to like to be curious about it, and for you to educate us and to give insights to others that maybe are like Keith and Di, scared to ask some of the questions or not knowing how to react with it. So, dude, full of vitamin G from me to you, Di to you as well, and hope you come back sometime.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'll come back anytime you guys will have me. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for asking the questions. Like I said, I always welcome them, man. I always feel if someone's going to make the effort to ask a question, that's the important first step, right? And whether the language or the whatever, I've never, again, ever to each their own, but to me, that's not the important part. The important part is someone cares enough to ask, right? And so that's awesome. So I love that. I love that you guys had me on here, and I love that you care enough about the experience we have and about Leighton to learn more about her. That's the most important thing. So
awesome.
Yeah.
AJ, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to put you back in the green room. Me and Di are going to just have a quick little 2-second before we say goodbye, and we'll walk you out. Okay. Hang tight, my friend. Awesome. Thanks, AJ Eglin is going to walk him, just going to hang out in the green room. Di, a quick 2 minutes with you, my friend. Great chat, eh?
Oh my gosh, was it ever? I'm like, I do. I love these kind of conversations because it also, I know it's a sensitive topic.
Yes.
And what I mean by that, it's just based on ignorance, and I'll own it.
Yes.
I'll own it.
Me too.
Like I own it. And it's okay. But with a guy like AJ, he just made it. And I don't use the term easy very often. People know that I prefer simple over easy, but in this context of this conversation, he made it easy.
Yeah.
And that, it just changed my whole view on this. And I'm going to be taking these conversations differently moving forward with other parents, because I'm going to meet other people. We all are.
Yes.
And what are your thoughts though on today?
I like you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got out of it what I was hoping to get out of it. And I was hoping to get AJ to a place to educate us and myself and the audience with some of the things that I know him and Melissa go through. So I feel better now after the hour, which was really great. And we'll certainly have to have Mr. Zeglen back again. But I
think we need him to come back with Mel.
I think, exactly. Yes, you're right. Actually, that's exactly what we'll do. But before we say goodbye, I want to thank you publicly to our audience here that last week we had a chat. We talked about emotional awareness and proactive fatherhood with their children. Yeah. And our goal is always to leave actionable advice for our audience. Last Friday, we chatted, sitting on the couch on Saturday or Sunday with my daughter. And I was in I was in a spot where I was like, okay, now's the chance to create this uncomfortable moment and be vulnerable and have a conversation, Mr. Manuel. And I did, man. I thought of you. I thought of our conversation. It was awkward. It was weird, but we did it. So to all the dads that are sitting there going, okay, I don't know if I can do it. Dude, I did it, man. I did it. We had a chat. My daughter looked at me like, huh? Yeah. And I said to her, I said, hey, Piper, my friend Di and I just had this chat today about trying to be better as a dad, and I'm just trying right now. And she looked at me, she had a smile, and we had a hug and a loving moment. But dude, I tried, man. I tried. And I got it. It came from our show.
Her seeing you try, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's honestly all that matters. To them, the effort says you're a super dad, and thank you. I love you. Oh my gosh. Keith, high five, brother.
I thought I'd leave it with you because I didn't want to leave it hanging. It was the result of our chat last week. And like I said, we're trying to leave actionable items, right? So if my moment of vulnerability inspires somebody listening to this to do the same thing, then it worked. And then as a result, we invite you to come tell Keith and Di your story. Keith and Di Manuel, we're sitting here, two dads in a lab. We're trying to be 2% better. We do a live stream every Friday. We drop it on our brand new YouTube channel, Two Dads in a Lab. Podcast out, we got the YouTube channel out, and we're creating content. So if you're a dad listening, if you're a mom listening, and you feel like you can contribute to our conversation, come knock on our door. We want you to be a part of it.
Thanks again, Keith. It's always an awesome, just running this show together. I think it's just fantastic. I always leave these conversations feeling inspired, motivated, but also way more educated. And I just got to say thank you because, man, you've been bringing on some killer guests, dude. I'm like, I just full disclosure, but I get a message from Keith. He goes, yeah, I'm bringing on my friend AJ. I'm like, okay, cool. And it's like the last time I just happened to have met Chad too, just previously, but he also messaged, hey, we got this great guy. He's got 6 kids named Chad. And I'm like, but you just keep lining them up. And I'm like, I'll just keep showing up. You just keep bringing on these great
We have
guests.
another one too. Wayne Boatwright knocked on my door. He's like, hey, I want to be on your show. I'm like, all right. So we got another one too, pal. All right. Okay, we're going to get out of here. We've taken everybody's enough time, and we got Mr. Zeglen waiting for us to say goodbye. So audience, we'll see you guys later. Keith and Di are out of here. Oh, go like the channel. See you guys.